Hey everyone, Jessica Kobeissi here. Today's video is going to be a question and answer. So I posted on Instagram and Facebook asking you guys what your questions would be for me, and I got a lot of responses actually. I wasn't really counting on, I'm probably gonna get like 2 people, but we got more than 2 people, so that's cool. You guys asked me questions and I answer them in this video, so that's exactly what we're gonna do. So I'm gonna scroll through my Instagram, try to get through every question, and here we go. So Connor J. Clark asks, how many weddings do you do a year? So I think this year I did, if I were just to guess right now, I would say like 10 this year, which actually is a lot for me because I have engagements, I have senior pictures, I have that fashion stuff, so I try to like balance it out. I actually don't book too many weddings purposely because they just take so long to finish. Hafusa? Girl, sorry, I probably just butchered your username. Asks, how do you get your 50mm to get sharp photos? I used to be able to push the shutter halfway down on my MK2 and multiple focus points would pop up, but now I can't do that anymore and not sure what I've changed. So if it's on the MK2, I think that there's an option for focal point. Great. There's no, okay. Well, I was gonna check on my Mark III, but I forgot the battery and I'm too lazy to go down. So on the Mark III, there's actually a setting. It's for the focal points. You can check off what type of focal point you want. There's like 9 point, there's 6 points, there's like 60 points. I don't do the 60 point. I think it's the 9 point. Don't quote me on that because I don't know. I'm not really good at memorizing stuff. As far as the focus points go, there should be an options in your menu settings. Now, a question that I get very frequently is, how do you get sharp pictures? I don't think it's really, there's not like a special button that you press to get a sharp picture. Personally for me, my pictures aren't sharp. Usually I have to sharpen them in post-processing, but it also depends on what settings you're using and also what lens you're using. So the 51.2, for instance, if you're using it at 1.2, a lot of it might be like blurry and creamy, which is what the effect that you get at 1.2. Again, depends on what you're shooting, the lighting. What I'd recommend is really just post-processing sharpening, which is mostly what I do. By 24-70, my pictures come out pretty sharp actually, so maybe it just depends on the lens that you're getting. And also another thing is what type of lighting. If you're doing more direct sunlight, I find that the pictures turn out to be sharper anyways. But if you're shooting like backlit, it is a little bit harder to get a sharper image, but that's what Photoshop is for. Al Rookie Official asks, what kind of advertising do you do? When I first started out, I really didn't do a lot of advertising. I was just all over Facebook. I was always on the internet. Never left my computer, really. I stayed in my basement. Now I would invest in things like an Instagram ad every now and then. I tried advertising on DeviantArt. God, did not work out, and I will never give them my money again because I didn't see my advertisement on the page. I tried Facebook advertising, which was such a waste of money. I will never do that again. I hate you, Facebook. As if Zuckerberg needed my $50, you know? If you're looking into advertising, what I recommend is contacting a photography directed Instagram page or Facebook that has daily activity and interaction that you can see that they're actually getting traffic. A1 asks, have you ever used Nikon cameras? Do you think Canon is better? Yeah. When I was first buying my camera, I checked out a lot of what my favorite photographers use, and 96% of them use Canon, so that kind of led me the path of Canon, and now I'm not turning back now. But what it boils down to is how you use your equipment. You could be using a freaking Barbie camera phone. Not that Barbie would have a phone. Riza asks, what's your favorite editing tool to use for oily or shiny skin spots in a photo? When I see that there's an oily or shiny spot, I usually go over it with a separate layer, and then I use multiply to kind of balance it out. I know that I probably sound like a huge nerd and you're probably like, what the hell is she talking about? What's your favorite soft light to use where your skin has almost like a matte, no shine flat finish? I think if you're looking for like no shine, I think backlit would be the best type of light. I hope I'm answering this right. Have you played Majora's Mask? No, but I have the game and I've been wanting to play, but I'm just too scared because the water temple looks really scary. What's your favorite Zelda game of all time? My favorite Zelda game so far, Link Between Worlds. I loved that game. Phantom Hourglass is also a really fun game. I'm waiting for them to release Twilight Princess. I secretly hate on them all the time. I'm like, Nintendo, will you just release the game? but I don't think they're gonna release it anytime soon. Why? Why do you guys do that? Like, you make an amazing game for GameCube. My cousins took that with them to Tennessee. I don't have the GameCube anymore. Like, how am I supposed to play? Can't you guys release it on the DS? Can't you, please? Yajlin, I'm sorry, you guys, if I say any of these wrong. You guys can like make fun of me later. Yajlin asks, how did you gain the confidence to charge people for your work? This is a hard one because, number one, it is awkward to accept money no matter what situation you're in or who you're accepting it from. It's just awkward the first couple times, you know, you're taking money from someone. If you are confident in yourself, people are going to pay for that service. So when I started, I was doing senior pictures. So I went from senior pictures to engagements, and then from engagements to weddings. Mostly it was just practicing all the time. I was constantly shooting. The more people I worked with, the more my name got out there, and then it just seemed appropriate for me to start charging. I think that if you're doing work of any kind, you should be charging, not even if you're just starting out. Even if it's like $20 for a photo shoot, charge something at least for your time. I think that everyone deserves to be paid for their time. Alice Salinas asks, how did you build your business enough to get noticed for your work? Gosh, that's a tough one because it's constant updating and uploading and showing people your stuff and working with different people. I think I was just really lucky to already have known people in my city that were willing to either book with me or let me take their picture, and then they posted that picture, and then other people wanted to work with me. So I think it's just really word of mouth. Never let any type of success or attention get to your head. That's when really your business starts to go downhill, because you're starting to think, oh, I'm too good for everyone. I'm better than this to be doing weddings. So I really did everything. I did baby pictures, pregnancy pictures, family pictures, and even though I didn't like really care for them, I still did it because I'm not above that. I have to build my way and I have to make a name for myself, and the only way you can really get noticed is by going through all those channels. That's just my personal experience. There might be people who have another way of getting there, but that's just personally for me. I'm sorry, you guys, I like really don't know how to say any of these. De La Celas, how do you build packages for weddings? Building my wedding packages was really one of the hardest things I've ever had to do. I had nothing to compare it to. I didn't know anyone else's prices because no one posts them or anything. The first thing I did was just kind of ask around. I Googled a lot. I wanted to know the average amount of wedding photos people give out, what they do with proofs. So then I kind of got an idea of what's the average in the market, and then just kind of built my wedding packages around that. I also went on competitor websites, checked out their stuff if they had any sort of information on their packages, just to use as a reference. I don't see anything wrong with this. You want to get an idea of what your competition is like so that you can kind of build your packages around that also. It's not like you're trying to one-up them, you're just trying to get an idea of how the market is so that you're not undercharging or overcharging. So I think it's a really good idea to just take a look at the competition in your area and seeing how much they charge and what kind of stuff they include in their packages, just as a reference. Catherine asks, would you ever consider hosting workshops for other photographers to learn under you? I really, really would like to do a workshop, but I think right now I don't feel like I'm good enough to do that. And I say this in all honesty. I'm not trying to like go teach people and I don't even know what I'm talking about, because I'm not a technical photographer, first of all. Second of all, I'm still learning. Third of all, I'm the kind of person, if I'm going to take money from you, I at least want to give you that value that I feel like you deserve, because you're paying for that. So I can't accept money for something that I don't feel is ready. If I feel like I can't give someone that type of quality value for their money, then I just won't do something. In the future, I do want to do workshops, but I think once I really master lighting indoors, I get a little bit more experience, maybe I'll try to do that. But I love workshops. I love helping people. I love teaching people, which is why I make my tutorials. So that's definitely something that I think about almost every day. Ashley Sky C asks, what's your favorite photography YouTuber? Is it going to be awkward if I say I don't have one? I don't really know who. There's a girl named Jana Williams. I think she's so cute. Irene is really adorable. She's so creative. She's creative in more ways than me. She's like Martha Stewart. I'm over here. I can't even put a pot together with flowers because I suck. I do have a favorite YouTuber though. Love PewDiePie, Smosh. I grew up watching Stevie Ryan. I was online during the time of like Boheme, Little Loca. There's a girl named Community Channel. Sean asks, I noticed we weren't best friends and I was wondering why. I don't know why we're not best friends. We could be best friends. We could totally be best friends. Shoot me an email. Dan asks, what is your sharpening process for portraits? High pass, smart sharpen? For portraits, I don't really use sharpen, honestly, unless it's something like purposely I want to post it and make it sharper, like on my Instagram or something, but I usually don't sharpen my images that much. When the image compresses it, like especially on Facebook, then it kind of just looks already sharp, so I don't really have to do anything. I do use high pass once in a while, but I won't use smart sharpen. I just use either sharpen or high pass, or I just don't put anything at all. Sarah asks, when did you first get noticed for your photography? I think it was when I was just posting on Facebook a lot. It really sounds generic, but that's really how it happened with me. I was just posting on Facebook, my Facebook page. My friends were my biggest advocates. I had a friend who talked to an editor of a magazine and she got me into the magazine, so I shot an editorial for them. It really was, you know, my friends, word of mouth. Some days Storms asks, how do you start photography? It's a long process, buddy. It's just... there's a lot of days spent on the computer. I think that question deserves a whole video on its own, honestly, so I'm gonna get back to that very soon. Hami asks, have you worked for an agency or publication as an editorial photographer? If not, why? I did one editorial. I'm not gonna lie, I only did one editorial. I have worked with a casting director for a modeling agency here in the city. Most of the models here I am friends with though, and I have worked with them. So going through an agency in Detroit anyways, I don't feel is really necessary. I am planning on branching out though. Maybe people are wondering why I don't really do a lot of editorials. In Detroit, it's extremely competitive because not only are there a select few photographers that people know about, but we don't really have that many publications that we do editorials with. And usually when they do editorials, they use the same photographer. I don't know, I really do want to do more editorials. It's just really hard. And as far as me submitting my work to online magazines, I really just don't bother with that anymore because you try to balance your client work and then your editorial stuff, and it's impossible sometimes. Priscilla Photography asks, how do you get your pictures to look good on social media? Well, having good pictures is really good. It really helps to have a nice picture to begin with, but if I'm uploading a picture to Instagram, I like to add a little bit of structure. And then I like to sharpen the photo a little, give it a little bit of saturation. Kind of just makes the photo pop on social media a little bit more. There's really no magical, you know, wand that I use to make it look nicer, I guess. Visco's great for editing on social media, so I do recommend that. Misery Cloud asks, I was once told you claim to be a photographer but you have not gone to college for it, then you don't need to be charging for pictures. What should I say to those kinds of people? What you should say is, first of all, it's none of your business. If you don't want to pay for pictures, then don't book with me. Go to Sears, go somewhere else. It's like asking Picasso, why didn't you go to college? You shouldn't be charging for your paintings. Like, is that even real? Like, usually people who say this are people who didn't want to pay you in the first place. So do you even want to work with people like that? They're not going to appreciate your work. You don't want to pay for pictures. A lot of people don't go to college. Did Bill Gates even go to college? I think he dropped out. A lot of business owners don't go to college. Like, if people drop out, they create a restaurant that becomes a franchise. Would you say, oh, you shouldn't charge for the food that you made at restaurant because you didn't go to college and get a degree in being a restaurant? I went to school for graphic design, but had I not gone to college, I probably could have still learned about graphic design. I know a lot of amazing artists who didn't even need to go to college. They were amazing designers and now they freelance and they make their own money. So do they not have the right to charge because they didn't go to college? No, they were smart because now they're not in $100 million of debt. I lost my spot and I have to scroll around and find it. Dan asks, and what does one have to do to get a shout out? You just did, Dan. Hey, what's up? Tropical asks, how do you feel about professional photographers that only use crop sensor bodies? I don't feel any type of way. You use whatever you want, whatever makes you happy. Good for you. You go, girl. Or boy. Or cat. Sunroases. Okay, I'm just gonna say sun. Do you have any tips for using a flash in event photography? Yes, I do, because I've struggled with this and it was very painful and I wanted to cry. I'd really invest in a flash. Honestly, it's the easiest thing to invest in. Pointing the flash where it can bounce off a ceiling is really great. Point the flash at a wall where it can bounce off. I usually just do a ceiling. If the ceiling's not that bad, then I feel like that just needs a video by itself. I'm trying to explain it. It's just too complicated. I swear I'll eventually make a video about flash photography in events. Hi Jess, how do you calibrate your camera for color accuracy? I love your channel. Well, first of all, thank you. I really don't do any type of calibration. Not gonna lie, I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I do this and that, and I really don't. There's really nothing special that I do for calibration. Doesn't mean that I shouldn't. I just didn't pay attention in my print class when she was talking about that. That's my bad. See, the thing about me is, like, I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, yeah, I use this type of calibration and this type of color space. I honestly, like, if I don't know something, I'm just going to straight up say I don't know it. So, I'm sorry, I just don't really have a fancy answer for it. I really don't do anything special. Steven asks, what's your favorite kind of cereal? First of all, that's the best question ever. I do love Cinnamon Toast Crunch, love Raisin Bran. Can I list, like, more than one? Because I just have so many. I eat cereal as a snack. I love Frosted Flakes. I should start like a cereal club. I should start a breakfast club. Kelly asks, do you play Animal Crossing and what is your friend code? If so, actually, girl, you like three years late because I had one like 3 years ago. But I stopped because like my town got too big and it just was taking too much time to do the trees and stuff. So I was like, I can't do this. Yeah. And then there was like talk about cedars and I'm like, I'm not about to have my town attacked. And I put so much effort into it. So I just sold the game. But I do play Harvest Moon though. It's a really cute game. Except I don't really plant any crops or anything. I'm literally like a billionaire in Harvest Moon. I have 3 cows. Louis Joe Hernandez. I'm so sorry if I said that wrong. Why aren't you married? You're so lovely. Because I'm a very complicated person. Why aren't I married? If I was married, I wouldn't be doing any of this. Let me tell you. Because I don't know. I'm gonna have to get back to you on that. I don't know. Thank you for calling me lovely. Hayush asks, do you go out of state for weddings or just Michigan? No, I've been out of state before. I've been to Boston. I've been to the Dominican Republic. I did a wedding there. So I'm international. I go anywhere. Except North Korea because I'm not allowed there. Dan Ra asks, when will you reprimand photographers for creating their own logo and ruining their shots with a horrible watermark? Shouldn't they hire a professional designer? Oh my god. Here's the thing. I'm not about like being nosy about other people's photography. I actually rarely comment about people's photography. If people want to have a watermark, that's cool. If the logo's like really ugly, I usually don't say anything because it's really not my place. If they like their logo, I can't really be like, hey, that's ugly because it's subjective. What I think is nice, they might not think is nice. So hiring a professional designer isn't cheap either, and it's really a process. So I understand why some people like make their own logos, which is fine. I just don't use watermarks. So if you were to ask me if I would recommend that, I would just say no. Fierce Femi asks, how do you defeat your own inner critic when it comes to your work and your career? The number one thing is to just not give up and to just keep remembering how far you've gotten and what could be at the end of the tunnel, because you really never know how far you are. I just have to keep reminding myself not to compare myself all the time to other people, to just really go easy on myself, because I started really knowing nothing about this field and I've grown so much, so it doesn't make sense for me to quit so easily. Just don't give in to the demons, that's it. There's going to be a million people telling you that you don't know what you're doing and you should quit and all that stuff, but there's going to be that one person that's like, hey, you should keep on going. You got something special, and you should just listen to that one person. Fabulous asks, why don't you try to take pictures in the middle of the water? It would be amazing. Because I live in Michigan, and the water is not easily accessible unless it's like muddy water with diseases and stuff. And I'm not about to kill a model, so. Which is very ironic because Michigan is surrounded by water. So you think like I could just dump someone in the water, but it's not that easy. I would get yelled at. I'd have the state police coming for me. Molly asks, would you rather have a dragon or be a dragon? This is important. Great question. I would want a dragon because I can still like dress up and do my hair and stuff, but then I could just have it go attack people and stuff. I would teach it how to make grilled cheese sandwiches so it can make me food. That would actually be really helpful because I'm always hungry. Besides, how cool would I look if I had a baby dragon? And then he sneezes and then the whole place goes up in flames and I'm charged with arson. Nicola asks, where do you find inspiration? I go on Tumblr a lot. I look at paintings. I love old paintings and abstract work. So I like to reference that sometimes. Inspiration is everywhere, honestly. Watching like really weird movies. But just don't watch them by yourself, though. Don't watch weird movies by yourself. Rukeya Elmo? I'm not saying like Elmo the Elmo guy, but I'm just saying like Elmo. So how do you get your work noticed? What tips would you give people to get more people to see your work? Post a lot. Post daily. It takes time. Get to know people in the photography community. Join groups. Ali Habs asks, was Ali Habhab the most inspiring male model you've ever shot? One of the top model. Where's Tyra Banks to come in and discover him? Where? Tyra, where are you? Pamela's Photography asks, how did you first get your clientele when you first started out? I started with senior pictures, so I contacted one of the seniors and I asked her if I could take her photo. And it just kind of, it was like a snowball effect. People saw those senior pictures, they wanted their senior pictures done. After I did those senior pictures, someone wanted me to do their engagement pictures. So it just was like one after the other. What type of tablet do you use when editing photos, and how does a tablet make editing easier? It makes it so much easier because you don't have to sit and click with your hand or if you're using a mouse. It's basically just like you're drawing on a tablet. And the one that I use is the Wacom tablet, I believe. I'll probably have to like post the information about that, but it's the Wacom tablet. 1,000,000% recommend it for retouching. It's just so much easier. King Dino asks, would you ever consider using vintage lenses? Yeah, actually vintage lenses sound really cool. I'm always willing to experiment with new gear. VDKMX asks, how do I start my portfolio? Do I have to pay my models? Really depends. I would start out just as a collaboration. I wouldn't start out like shelling out money. If you just want to practice, you want to practice on people that you can be comfortable with. And these don't have to be professional models. You can start to develop your style with your friends and your family. You'll be a lot more comfortable and you'll be able to take your time while doing that instead of like rushing, because this is a professional model. You're paying for the time, so you don't have to feel like you're being rushed. If you pay a model to start your portfolio, I would feel like you're being rushed if this is like one of your first times shooting. So definitely taking your time is important. Shooting with someone who will allow you to take your time. Wrist Photo asks, how do you maintain your inspiration and drive? I take a lot of breaks. I try to take as many breaks as possible just so I don't go crazy editing pictures, because I edit a lot of pictures. I keep reminding myself what my end goal is. I just don't think about stopping. I just keep going. Doing photo shoots for fun really helps me, like working with models and setting up my own weird photo shoots with flowers and stuff like that really helps me keep my inspiration, because I'm able to do, you know, out of the box stuff. Sarah asks, what's the greatest obstacle you face as a photographer? I think one of the greatest obstacles for me is learning on my own and really not knowing who to ask for help or what to do next. I'm constantly researching, I'm constantly Googling stuff, and sometimes it would be helpful to just have someone to ask, but I'm just not in that position right now. So wanting to give up, that's one of my biggest obstacles, just thinking that I'm not good enough. There's a fear of like slowing down, not getting any more work, people lose interest in you, so kind of like doing new things, learning new things, becoming better at every given opportunity. So there's always like a pressure of becoming better. Like every photo has to be better than your last. So there's like that pressure of being better every time. Like sometimes you won't take a good picture. Another big obstacle I've had is the styling, makeup, and then the actual like putting together of a photo shoot, which I always have trouble with. Just kind of like a cohesive look that would look good in my portfolio is just really hard. Like setting up a photo shoot with the hair and the makeup, making sure makeup matches the clothes, making sure the look matches the model and doesn't look too much, and that's honestly my biggest obstacle right now. If there's a model that's not inspiring to you, you're just not going to take that great of pictures. So having the right look is really important. It's mostly styling and makeup and hair. And Kay Thomas asks, what is your system for getting contracts filled out and signed online? I actually don't have people sign stuff online. I feel like that's pretty tricky. You could do that, but I just don't do that. If I can't be in person with someone, what I'll do is email them a copy of the contract. They print it out, sign it, and then mail it back to me so that I have a copy. And then I take pictures of it and then send them as a PDF, as a copy to them. Jessica asks, hobbies of yours other than the obvious of photography? I like to play video games. I think that's like my only escape. I love Legend of Zelda. I like to play tennis. I was on the varsity team in high school, so tennis is definitely one of my hobbies. Eating. Not really so much sleeping. I feel like that's only like a necessary thing that I have to do, because otherwise I just want to sleep. I like to people watch. What do you prefer, natural light or studio setup?